Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Mel Sanders and Friends. Today is September 16th, 2021, and we're glad that you joined us. I have with me today my two co-hosts, Mr. Cato and Ms. Paula Massey from the South Valley, and we are going to have a good discussion with you. We wanted to talk about the recall election and how that affects the African-American community and expound on that a bit. And if we have time, Mr. Cato's got a couple of subjects that he'd like to talk about, and we may get to that. So as we start out here, what do you think about the recall situation? What were your thoughts from the start to what happened on Tuesday?
I'm going to defer to Miss Massey because I want to hear what she has to say.
What, are you copycatting or something?
That way I can just, I don't know why not.
You want to?
What she's going to say is really important, so I want to hear that. Where's she at?
Well, while she's getting there, while we're getting there.
Okay. well, I did find a couple of, go back. Wait. Ask you a question again because the comment I have may not relate to
what were your thoughts about this last recall election from the start of it, from when they first started gathering signatures to what happened on Tuesday?
I knew they were serious, and a lot of people were saying, well, they're not going to be able to recall or have a recall because they won't go on, they won't have enough signatures. Well, I knew that was going to fade away real quick.
Did you think that was in the beginning?
From the very beginning, I knew they was going.
What was your rationale for that? Because first of all, this is a Democratic state. I mean, you're looking at 2-1 with Democrats versus Republicans. So why would you think that they wouldn't have any problem gathering enough signatures?
Because they've been fighting to have something to rally against since Trump got kicked out. So this was for California. This was their shot. Mm-hmm. Anything that Republicans can do that will grab hold of, say, the California's attention, voters' attention. I mean, just like national. When Biden stumbled on coming out of Air Force One, mm-hmm. He stumbled.
When he fractured his ankle or his foot?
No, I didn't get that far into it. Just the fact that he stumbled was national news. They were, at that point, they're saying he's too old to be the president. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Wait a minute. It's not that he shot somebody, and so you say, oh, that's really serious. He stumbled. So that tells me that you don't really care about what happened. It was just that it happened.
Okay. All right. So you said that the Republicans in California took that same approach by saying we have to do something that's going to bring attention to our party and to us regaining some power or getting some semblance of power in the state?
Well, yeah, that was probably their end goal. It was just that they had nothing else to rally behind. And when, like the dinner, he went to dinner with no mask on. It didn't matter if he went to the bathroom with no mask on. They were just looking for something to get him on, to rally around to get him on. It didn't matter what it was.
Okay, so Ms. Paula, what do you think about it? Did you hear the original question?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
And don't be copying me.
Well, when it first started with the talking about the recall, and then I thought, what? And my thought was they were trying to just use the mask. A lot of people, the fact that he used the mask, he didn't use the mask, and then he was shutting down everything, and a lot of people wanted him to open the schools. So at that point, I thought it was going to be pretty rough until I started talking to people that they didn't think the schools needed to be open anyway, and they didn't really care about him not wearing the mask. So then I thought, with the signatures, I thought that, okay, this is going to be good. And then you look at all of the people that were trying to run to get into his place. I'm like, oh, heck no. We know what we got. We don't know what we're going to be getting. We better keep him until the end of his term, and then we'll see where we go from there. But, I've been talking to a lot of people before that, just different groups that I'm with, and just letting them know. And then I'm on Facebook, letting people know to vote. And then when Larry Elder's started talking about his stuff, I had to make sure people knew about that. So
Okay, so
yeah,
let me
I
ask
thought
this.
I thought at first I thought it was going to be like, wow, this is serious. And then when I saw the things that they were talking about that were making it serious, then I realized it wasn't that serious at all.
So
Uh, they were just trying to find something to get on them.
let me ask this question, which is second on my list. How concerned do you think the black community was when this first started, in terms of their interests? Were they the folks that you ran into? Did you run into folks that had that conversation about a potential recall?
No, that it was a non-issue. Him going to dinner without a mask. They weren't there, so black folks. If it ain't bothering me, I don't care what he does.
Well, not all of us are that way.
All of you guys, that's right. I'm sorry. Most of you guys, you know
Okay.
who you are. They didn't. That wasn't the issue. I mean, you really have to come pretty strong with black folks to bring up something that they're gonna rally behind, and not wearing a mask. Okay, yeah, I guess it kind of was
This
him
is
saying,
when the pandemic was running rampant.
right. Well,
So why would that not be an interest to
not
to the
not
black
to kick
community?
not enough to kick him out. I mean, okay. Once again, who did it affect? Yes, it was to the point that kind of like he didn't. He was saying one thing and did another. So I understand.
Well,
I kinda
isn't that
understand
what? Isn't that the usual politician? Will tell you one thing and then do something completely different.
Okay, then that same thing is what the black folks was thinking. That's just business as usual. You tell me to do one thing, but you're doing another.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think that was not in the black community. I don't. The only thing that probably would have came into it was Larry Elder, him being black.
Okay, let's say that.
That
I want to
was-
get to that, but that's on the list. But let's go down this list here.
Okay, wait. I want to hear what Paula got to say. Come on, Paula. What?
What was the question again?
Oh, okay. Turn off the TV.
So it was just how in your area, how much concern from the African American community was there about the recall
Are you talking
at the
about?
initial stages of the recall? Was there great interest or concern about the recall?
I think that there was interest. I think what the people that I spoke with, the people that I was speaking with,
Mm-hmm.
they were white people, and they were the Democratic Committee,
Okay.
Jimmy Carter's Democratic Committee. They were more concerned about the recall and how it was going to come out and getting out there, registering people, than my people that I saw, that I talked to. They were talking about it, the fact that he did this and he's telling us what to do and he's done this. It didn't bother me because Nancy Pelosi did the same thing. She went and got her hair did, and at her place. And social distancing, it was a whole bit about social distancing. So I wasn't really concerned about it, but I heard more from white people than I did from black people about how they felt about the recall.
So did the entering the race was Larry Elder. Did you think that changed anything in the black community in terms of their outlook about the recall?
I hope you know what? I hope they didn't look at that big old sign on the corner of 10th and Grangeville with his big old face up there and say, "Oh, there's a brother running for office. We need to vote. We need to get some more black people." I hope that they did not do it, and I hope that they were watching my videos to see that that's you need to know what's in that person's toolbox. And yes, he's saying a lot of things, but can he bring those things to fruition? No.
What about you, Mr.
I was
Cato?
hoping that they didn't take that, because a lot of times with black people, it's like, oh, black person running, oh yeah, we're gonna vote for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, you gotta walk the walk. You gotta walk what you walk and talk what you talk and do what you're supposed to do. Whatever you say you're gonna do, you need to do it. Yeah. So
What about
I
you,
hope
Mr.
that I hope that they've researched that and got among themselves, because we don't have a very big black population in our community at all. And from what I understand, when the Democratic Committee was out registering people to vote, a lot of people, a lot of young people registering as Republicans, black, white, or Mexican or otherwise. They're not trying to
I want
register
to
as
touch that
Democrat.
question too. After I want to hear Mr. Cato's response to the question. He was grinning over here like he's a Larry Elder fan, I assume.
No, no, no. It was, the first thing that got
Delete.
the first thing that got. Oh, and we do appreciate all 30 votes coming from Hanford. So, Mel, stop. Okay, so I didn't appreciate him taking the stance on. I mean, once again, it's politics, and we know politics. Nothing surprises us. So how he came out didn't surprise me that he wanted to rescind the mandate about wearing masks. Teachers and I guess state workers, I'm not quite sure, but that didn't set good with me because now you're trying to grab a hold of a segment of people, of voters who don't agree with Newsom. Anything you can get that's a strike against him, that's what I got.
Would you say he was a Donald Trump copycat? Because a lot of the same positions that Mr. Trump had, Mr. Elder had.
Yeah, well, they said he a major, not a donor, but a supporter. I mean, once again, politics is politics. You just go with what works and with what sticks. And he was grabbing at straws, and it really didn't work for him. Now, what surprised me was the amount of votes that pretty much everybody, besides him, everybody else got. Even himself. That was dismal. I mean, that was really pitiful as far as California goes, of the amount of votes that he got with all the money he raised and spent. So, that showed you that California really wasn't interested in him. I mean, there was a lot of names to choose and pick from. The only one that really I thought was going to really stand out was Cox. I thought he had better shot than Elder.
You like those bear commercials? you
Well,
thought that might make a point?
Yeah, that was cute. That was cute. That made me laugh. That was pretty good. But you want me to repeat it? And I can say the whole thing.
No, that's okay. We'll leave it
No,
there.
it just that with Cox have ran before, I figured name recognition would have been there for him. Mm-hmm. And it's not that he was saying stuff that people really identified with. It was just name recognition. I didn't really surprise me that Elder came out on top.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What could the Republican Party do to attract more African Americans to the party? Is there anything in your mind that would make the party more appealing to African Americans?
keep giving them stimulus checks. That's
But they didn't do that. That was Democrats.
No, you got to start. You got to give the people something, some hope of saying, once again, look what I did for you. That's what people really, and the Democratic voters, I hate to say it, through all the years have been. That's why the Democratic Party is they have pandered to, catered to the black community. Now they're doing the same thing with the Hispanic community because the numbers are there. So they don't. Nobody really cares about the people. It's just getting the vote.
So what you said that, but issue-wise, what issues do you think would be attractive to the African American community if the Republican Party were presenting them?
That's kind of hard because there really isn't. There's really not. As I said, we know politics. You have to have, and I'm sure Paula can agree, when you're in politics, you have to have something that your voters are going to identify with. They're going to rally around. And there's really nothing that's been there for the black community as far as Republicans. They just want to say, we want you.
Okay, so what's the difference, though? What
Ms.
Paula, let me ask her. What would be your response to that? What could the Republican Party do to attract the African American community to support them? What
You know what?
issues do you think would be?
I really don't know. I just think about what can the Democratic Party do to keep us and move forward. That's my whole thing is the Democratic Party.
Okay,
Wait,
You
so
wait,
know,
wait, wait,
the,
Mel.
the Republican Party, they're doing whatever they need, whatever they're doing, and I don't know what they're doing to change a lot of our young people's minds.
well, you
Because
just
I don't understand it. I don't know whether it's just the young people, they don't want to just follow what their parents have always followed, or maybe they're looking at the Democratic Party and saying they're not doing anything because these young people are more radical uh, than we are than we were, and even our parents. And if you look at the civil rights movement, there was a lot of stuff going on. But I mean, if you look at those videos and stuff, and people getting beat upside the head with water hoses, these young people right now snatch that water hose out of your hand and turn it on you. So, this is the state of the young people, but I don't know what the Republicans can do to bring more of us onto their side. I'm looking at what can the Democrats do to keep us and move forward because they're lazy. I don't know. The Democratic Party to me is not really, in a whole, is not really pushing like they need to push. It's time out for being nice.
so what say ye, sir? You were going to say before I so rudely cut you off. And,
yes, you did, and that's twice. I don't. My problem with both parties is they really don't do anything for the people. In my opinion, it's about the party. What? Yeah, they say that we're trying to support the people and give the people what they want and what they need, but then again, when it comes down to really doing that, they're more interested in fighting the Republicans so that they don't get credit for a bill that's been passed. It's not that the bill isn't good, it's just that it came from the Republicans. Or the Republicans don't want to support it because it came from the Democrats. Well, where did the people come in at this? You're not worried about them. You really aren't because you wouldn't be thinking where their first thought, and you can see it when all of them make comments. Their comments is, it's not good for the party. Well, it shouldn't be about is it good for the party, is it good for the people? I mean, take for instance, you have a law that's been passed, and it's going to increase your car registration, and they tried this already. So if your car registration is $500 a year, they wanted to up it. This was going back probably 4 or 5 years now. Mm-hmm. They wanted to up it to double. So now you paid $1,000. Where did that extra $500 come from? Now, I know that Mr. Sanders and Ms. Massey, I know that both of them can afford that $500 in a blink. That's nothing. But in the poor Cato household, that $500 is coming from somewhere.
So, well, let me ask this to both of you. How much do you think is responsible to the communities not participating as to why politicians, you know what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the wheel? No, squeaky wheel gets the oil. Mm-hmm. And if you're not voting, which is what drives them or puts them in a position to be in office, why should they listen or listen to what the people are saying if the folks who are complaining about not getting services don't vote? Is that fair, Ms. Massey?
You know what? The people vote. I think there's a lot of people who vote. I think that when the person gets into office, whether that's the person they voted for or not, and whatever their campaign was based upon, and they're not doing it, I think the problem is that the people who voted just sit back and say, oh, well, there it goes. Mm-hmm. They got in, so mm-hmm. we got another 2 years about this. Instead of getting up, getting to those city council meetings, getting to those county board of supervisors, getting onto those school board meetings and raising sand. I mean, push. One thing that I see in my community is that we need to push for term limits on some of this mess. Mm-hmm. But other than that, that's what I think that we lack in using our voice. We use our voice to vote, but now we don't. Now we sit back and wait till the next election. We're always
Hmm.
waiting for the next election. We need to stand up and do something now. But that means that you have to educate the people, the voters, on what they can do. A lot of times they don't know what they can do.
Or
They
do
don't know.
or do
They
they
don't
know
know.
what's in the toolbox of the politician? Because a lot
Right.
that I think that has to do with the education component of it too. What about you, Mr. Cato? What's
No,
your
I don't agree with that. What I think what happens is we elect that politician because of maybe what they said that they were going to do for us. And then when they get into office, we don't go back and follow up and make sure that they're doing what we wanted them to do. For whatever reason, it doesn't happen until it gets ready for the next 4 years. Then you say, oh, he didn't do what he said he was going to do. Let's get this other guy. And then you get the other guy, and the other guy does the same thing. Or, once again, in politics, because it's been proven, once that politician, especially on the state level, once they get into that office, if they don't do what the party says, you know where their office is? It's a broom closet. And I guarantee you that has happened. That was their office. Not kidding. That was their office, was a broom closet. So that told them, you don't have to do what we say. I know the people voted you in, but the people aren't here. You are, and I run this. So, and then going back, the people, they just say, well, you were there, and you know what we wanted. You said what you were going to do. How come you didn't do it?
Well, I think Paula touched on it, and it's true in most other communities. When someone is elected, they have to respond to those folks who voted for them through town halls or through email or through letters that come to them or phone calls. And I think that plays a very important role. All the politicians that I've ever talked to about how, what makes them move off the dime, they speak to the fact that they do read those letters and they hear those phone calls. They talk to people, and that's what motivates them. But in our case, I don't know that we're that politically astute. And it's really not being astute, it's just doing the thing. If someone were to lay out, this is what needs to happen, and if you do this, this is the end result you're going to get, before you talk about getting a new representative to do something. Because, politicians they're like water. They take the easiest path possible. So, I think when we talk about how we're going to, we're not getting anything, I think a lot of that has to do with, even though your numbers are not overwhelming, you have enough numbers in our community throughout the state to make a difference in any election.
Right.
To
that
make
matters.
who's going to be serving. But if you don't know what's in the toolbox of the people, and you don't know what's in the toolbox of the politician, you're going to get what we've gotten, I think, and that's a long, hard road to hoe.
Well, look. Here's what happened when Obama got voted in. Prior to got voted in, his party, not his party, the Democratic Party, his campaign did something that had never ever been done before. Never. They went on a media campaign that was texting, that was tweeting, Gooten, you name it, they were doing it. And that got him more support than anybody had ever gotten. Now, guess what happened? Republicans came back. They weren't stupid. They came back that next election. They said, well, if it worked for him, and no, I'm not talking about the next presidential election. I'm talking about the next election that was even statewide and stuff. That change that started happening. So it wasn't really about the people, what they wanted. It was about access to make a difference. That was to me, that was the key thing. Look, go out and vote, especially in the black community. Go out and we need support. Now, yeah, it's a black face up there. That didn't hurt them, but it's a black face that looks like us, and it never been happened before. We got a chance to put a president in office, or a black man in the presidential office. So that was something that had never happened. There was a lot of never happens before that made a difference. And so now the party is coming right back using those same things. Republicans aren't stupid. They know what works. If it works for you, it can work for us. Well, guess what they did with Trump? They did the exact same thing.
Yeah, but even then, I think you have to have something that you can offer to folks in order to get them motivated to vote.
They didn't offer
Because-
nothing. They didn't. You know what they offered? This is a black man. I'm just
Oh, so you
being
think
honest.
that was
This
the ration?
that was the key. That wasn't all. He's a black man. He's young. He's black. Never had a black president. We got a chance for a black president. Wait a minute. You know you know who was mostly surprised when Obama started getting into the top of the list, because he wasn't nowhere near the top when this first kicked off. When all of a sudden it's like, huh? He got a chance, and white folks just went crazy because they're like, how, why? And that's why they followed that model with Trump. It worked for Obama, and then Trump came back and did it. If Clinton had done it, she'd have been president. But just like everything, it wasn't time for that. That was the key thing. It wasn't time for Clinton for the media. That hadn't been done before. It hadn't been used.
Yeah, yeah.
Social media, that kicked off everything. Now you just, even with this state election, I was getting texts at least twice a day. You know, and it didn't tell me who to vote for. Now, I did have things from Elder, I think, and then somebody else. They didn't tell me to vote for them. They just said vote. But, they had their name there and stuff.
So what say you, Miss Paula? When it comes when it comes to having the ear of the community as a Republicans, he mentioned the fact that they copycatted the Democrats and used social media. What tools would you think they could use, politicians, both parties, to actually encourage African Americans to participate? Because, if folks are not getting anything, it's hard to motivate them or not promise anything. No, even more than that. If they're not getting anything, they're not going to vote because they've been hearing promises for years.
I think social media is pretty good, but more than that, you need to show up. I've been getting like emails from Val Demings. I think she's in Florida.
Yeah.
Am I right? I'm not in Florida. I don't live in Florida. I haven't lived in Florida in years. I left Florida when I was, what? I don't even know. Teddy wasn't even born then, before the 80s. But, I think they need to show up. You need to be out into the communities, holding town halls and stuff like that. Whatever you need to do, I think that's what it's going to take for when people, wanting people to vote and you want them to vote for you. They got to see your face.
So
they don't want to just hear a commercial. I mean, commercials are good and stuff like that, and
Okay, so for someone running for a federal office, either a United States senator or congressman, what couple of things would you suggest that would be strong topics for them to bring to the community to garner support if they were running for federal office? And then we'll go down the line to
I don't know what they could bring, what topics they could bring, but I know that with me, when T.J. Cox was running for was it congressman?
Yes.
Congress, they reached out to me some kind of way. If I can remember, my name was in the hat. And because these people do research on people that are in the community. They have their ears out in the community. Who is black that is doing something? And they're really reaching out to these women, because women are movers and shakers really more than the brothers are. So they're reaching out. So these people in office, they'll reach out into the community and pinpoint a few people in that community that can help them progress in their running for the seat. And not only that, you could pinpoint and have somebody like they did me contact me, but they wasn't going to pimp me, but he showed up. He showed up in different areas. He showed up at our Black History Committee. His whole program, his whole family show. He had a whole table plus. You know, so when people see you doing that and then getting up on stage and acknowledging students and stuff who are getting scholarships, that's big. That's
Mm-hmm.
big in our community. So I think when you talk about the topics that they could talk about, I don't think it's so much more about the topics anymore. There may be some, but I think just showing up and showing that you are in the community. TJ Cox has been in Kings County community for a lot. He was here more than I saw, and I'm not throwing anything at her, Melissa Hurtado. I see her a person who works in an office, but I don't hardly ever see her, you know. But even with Rudy Salas has been around for years, but we don't get a chance to see him unless he's doing an event. And his event is really reaching out to more of the Hispanic community,
So,
not the Black community.
so I hear what you're saying, and it sounds as if you're saying there's a lack of knowledge in the toolboxes of the politicians, because if you know David Valadeo, when he's out and about, he speaks specifically about things that he knows is important to his constituents. You'll hear him talk about water,
Farming, water,
and
farming, yes.
he talks about that, which means he strikes a nerve. So I think our job as an African American community is to hone in and talk about exactly what we need to take to them so that they can begin to do the kind of drill down to bring back what our community needs. What do you think?
Well, you know
what
what?
is,
I was just it just so happened today. I thought about Dave Valadeo because sent me a letter um, about this recall. But prior to that, when he was running, and I think that after he got when he voted against voted to impeach Trump, and I sent him a letter. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. I was able to send him a letter. At first, I wasn't going to do it. I had to have my own mind to do this, and I sent it out, and they responded back and wanted to meet. He sent his person that wanted to meet with me. I don't want to meet with you. I want to meet with him. So I'm thinking that I probably need to now reach back out to Dave Valadeo, and see what he can bring to our community. I know he don't have much time left, but let's see what he could do the short time he has.
Your thoughts, Mr. Cato?
well, that's kind of going back to the other question. I don't think that I think that politicians are so scared to speak because if they say the wrong thing, then they're done. The best thing that they had going was their town hall meetings. But when those start going south and you had a lot of agitators coming in from different factions, that thing which was so good turned so bad, and they stopped having them. Now we're not going to have them now because of the pandemic, but it was a good thing and it was working because at the town hall meetings, they really got a chance to voice whoever it was, you know, what they were in support of, and they were having those left and right, and they were good. The people were coming out, and then all of a sudden, when it turned bad, they shut it down because, oops, if I say the wrong thing, that's going to be used against me. And everything that a politician says, if he's in front of a mic and he's speaking, somebody else wrote it for him most likely, but they wanted to be very careful that they didn't offend anybody. You know how hard that is?
Yeah, it's very difficult if you're not a practiced
If you're
orator.
if you're not polished, then it's not going to go well for you because as soon as somebody stands up and start asking questions, now you're off script. Now you have to think for yourself.
Well, that you know, a good politician knows how to do that. When they're speaking to the crowd that they're speaking to, they know what they can say to push buttons and what they can say to inspire people to support them, to rally around them. So, you know, I think the problem to me is not always the politician. I think the problem is our community is not knowing what to ask for.
Right.
I often give the example of when Mr. Kimber was the city councilman for Fresno, and he first started meeting with the local pastors and formed an organization, a little meeting group called the West Fresno Ministerial Alliance. I remember going to a few just as an observer, and I noticed that every time he would close the meeting, he would always say, you know, you ministers, I need you. I take my direction from you, and you just need to tell me what you want, and I'll follow through on it. Well, he said that for the 8 years he was there, and he never had to do anything because they never knew
took
what to
nothing to
ask
him.
for. They were just glad to be there, and that's our city councilman, and we're here to support. But there's some things that they could have gotten that would have been great for the community had they known what to ask for. And he did a reasonably good job because he lived there. So when you live someplace, you're going to have a little greater concern about, you know, the quality of life there.
I'm being nice because I have a different view on. I'll just say him. Sound like Whoopi. Him. So you're being gracious. I'll pass because that's West Fresno. That's going back to a time and an era that was really bad, and to my opinion, things weren't handled in the community's favor.
Such as, are you talking about the Zaki Farm piece?
No, it's not just that. I personally believe that, and I've heard it. I'm trying to think. I've heard it probably a year ago, 2 years ago. Yes, it was. The new. I was told. I'm trying to think who was there. I was told. I should say we was told, whoever I was with, that the reason why there hasn't been improvements in West Fresno. Now we're talking about anything on the west side of 99 is considered West Fresno. That the reason that there haven't been improvements in West Fresno, like there has been in North Fresno and South Fresno, is because they don't know where the infrastructure is, which infrastructure can be electrical or plumbing, sewer. You're a city. You have to have permits, and you know exactly where that line is going. You mean to tell me they just dug a trench and ran it through West Fresno? Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, the way they treat black folks, they probably did just do that. Oh, put it over here, move this house, and nobody knows where it was. That's the mentality that they actually thought black folks were going to accept, that they didn't know where they're trying to figure out where the infrastructure is. How can you even say that and get away with it? That was an insult to me, and I don't live in West Fresno.
Okay, but I think you're talking about
I'm talking about
leadership
politicians. Well, when
beyond Les Kimber.
Well, no,
after
that
he
was
left.
his district.
Yeah,
So-
but he was.
so-
You're talking 30 years ago.
I don't care. See, that's what I'm talking about. I said an error.
Yeah.
So going back, that was a period that he was in control of West Fresno.
And that
what
was
was
there.
the good? Huh?
And it was there. The infrastructure was there. He knew where
No,
it was.
different. No, I'm talking about the city that is saying that they don't know.
That's what they're
why
saying. But
now,
the only way you can get away with a statement like that,
is you think the person you're talking to is stupid.
well, that too. But you have a person in the leadership of that district that won't say anything.
Now.
See.
Oh, now or no? It wasn't then. No, it wasn't then. We're not talking about then.
Yeah,
We're
because
talking
Les
about, 'cause
spoke
this
up.
has been a couple of years ago.
Okay, that's what.
Now
okay,
stuff was still being. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I know. This is only Fresno, and I'm kidding when I say this, but it's on video. I know good news. I said it, Paula, video. People can make people disappear, and I don't want Cato to be one of them over what happened in West Fresno 30 years ago. So let's if somebody want to call or
Don't
ask
give 'em my number.
or
I
ask
know
a
that's
comment,
what you were gonna say.
then
No.
go right ahead, but send it to Mel. Don't send it to me. But that because I don't want to speak ill of the dead, and he's not around to support himself or defend himself. But there's to me, and I said to me when I started, this is just my opinion on what happened regarding West Fresno. Stuff was being done and shifted around, and money is being moved and not given to help West Fresno that was sent off somewhere else. Now, me and you have kind of discussed this before, but that's part of that leadership. And I know, and we both know that you have to work with others. You have to play well. But we also know, especially even going back then, that others didn't play well with you. So stuff that was, I wash my hand, you wash mine, but that didn't happen. Everything was, let me wash my hands and here you go. So, but you know, we're now in the same position that we were in 30 years ago.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I can say.
How many new more shopping centers has there been in West
Well,
Fresno? How many more?
No,
wait a minute.
but there's been
there's-
tremendous development in the commercial end of it in Southwest Fresno.
Well, okay.
Industrial parks and those kinds of things, which is, you know, that something we have to have in terms of us folks coming together, but bringing resources to the community. But yeah, there's a lot to be desired. What about the south side of Hanford? Are you experiencing the similar kind of experiences in terms of leadership, people that were elected and maybe were not communicating or were not communicated to in terms of having more and better services in your area, Ms. Paula?
Well, you know, that's something that I bring up on a regular basis about our services that we have over here. And I just noticed in the past couple of months, well, last year, next to our DMV, they're going to be putting a little mini mart with a gas station or something right there. And then down across 11th Avenue, well, that's not even in my district, that's District 5. But in my district, District 4, I see where there's some land that was cleared and they're doing a laundromat, yay, and they're doing another little mini mart and a smoke shop. I'm sorry, excuse me. Why are you opening? Do we need another smoke shop, especially on the south side of Hanford?
Yes, you do.
No, we don't.
So what would you say the need would
So
be?
the things that have come over into our community, even dealing with District 4, we have 2 cannabis shops, one not even a block away from each other. Okay, so you could say a block, city block, Hanford block. So we have 2 cannabis.
Are those the only two? Are those the only 2 in town?
In Hanford that I know of.
That's the only 2.
And
they
and
located
then you have
them
2
right in
and
South.
You have 2 in Lemoore.
So, but they located those 2 right in South Hanford.
Yeah, I would say it's south because it's in District 4. It's across you could say it's central because it's on the other side of the freeway. Once you
Okay.
cross over that freeway, you're out of south.
Okay.
But it's still in my district,
Okay. Yeah.
which is fine. But my thing is that there's really been no new construction, housing construction. The last thing I remember them building on this side of town is some low-income apartment complexes in District 5 and District 4. But nothing other than these new places that they're talking about building, we haven't had anything like that. And it's only because, if you look at it, let's go back to our schools. And I know we're not talking about education right now, but you go back to our schools and you look at the numbers of our schools and their scores and the different things that are happening at our schools, the children that are attending, it's not going to happen. Not until we improve our school system.
Okay.
But did you say that this new shopping center mini mall?
It's not even a street. It's just like a little mini mart. We got one right down the street. We got one right around the corner from me, a little store.
Okay, but you said that's once you cross. Did you say you cross the tracks?
Freeway.
Freeway. Isn't that like Fresno?
Yeah, that's
That as
tradition.
soon as you cross the freeway, now you're considered the other side of town.
Well,
Isn't that Hanford?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
mean,
was just making sure I heard it right.
Side. Once you cross that freeway, everything is on. What am I going to call it? Yeah, the south. And then when you go east of 11th Avenue, now you're really dealing with my district. So it's kind of crazy, and we'll find out more about it when they start drawing the lines and stuff like that, because there's been a lot of talk about that, where everything is going to what it's going to be looking like.
Wait.
After the lines are drawn with this redistricting.
So once again, on the other side of the freeway is the other folks, or them,
on the other side of the freeway,
folks.
when you leave us, now you could go down. Now you're heading toward downtown Fresno.
I was making sure I heard you said it's more or less you folks that are living down there, or them folks live down there, because they're on the other side of the freeway.
What you talking about, them folks? Who's them folks?
What's your other question, Bill?
I was going to ask, how many African Americans are on your planning commission, either the city or the county planning commission? Because I think those are
No,
very
don't have any.
strategic positions, so that you know your community has an idea of what's on the board and what's going to happen next.
In your area.
Yeah, because
Well,
that
Well,
citywide.
we
If
don't
you're on
have
the,
anybody. We have like Carol is on the Parks and Recreation Commission. But I'm gonna tell you something that happened the other night at the school board meeting, and I've been looking at this, and so everywhere there's always a shortage of teachers and substitutes, and there's a position that is open on one of the committees, and this person left, so they're trying to find somebody, and they didn't think that I was listening. After the meeting, says, "Hey, if you know somebody, get with some of your friends. If you know somebody that can sit here, let us know." So they're not asking me. They're asking them other people, and I'm like, and then the girl, my sister there, her husband, she said, "Oh, I think my husband," he said, he'll do it. So I don't, if I wanted to find somebody, I have no opportunity to find nobody to sit on there because they jump up and they pull their people in there so quick. And it's like, there it is. We're going to send them an email tomorrow. Bam, bam, bam. So we
Mhm.
don't have an opportunity unless we show up. If you don't want to show up, just go on the school board, go on the board page and look at the agenda. Pull up the agenda packet. Look at see what they're going to be talking about. I don't just run to every city council meeting. I want to know what they just going to talk about before I go, because I'm not just going to waste my time sitting up in there if it ain't nothing you know, that I could deal with. Yeah,
You're,
people. What the Bible said, people perish for lack of knowledge.
well, that's one of the things that I was raising earlier about knowing what's in the toolbox of both sides, both the politicians and the community, and how you can motivate and move politicians to do what you need done. A lot of times you don't have to have a whole lot of numbers, but you do have to have the numbers to show when it's time to show, and especially during the election, because when they count votes too, they're very sophisticated. They have the kind of capability they can tell on this block how many people voted. They may not tell you who they voted for, but they can tell you how many people voted, and then they can determine the outcome of the votes on that street, and pretty much can tell you at the
Yeah.
end of the day how many votes went for John, how many went for Mary. So we have to be strategically wise too, to know how to use our votes to maximize our power. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to be doing with the show more and more as we had this brief discussion here. There's a lot of things that we need to be drilling down on to share with people about how do you access the power that you have. How do you get politicians to do what you need them to do? You know, accountability.
But how do we do that? How do we do that? You know how I think that we ought to do that, because it's hard getting people out of their houses. We don't know what's going to be happening with this, if we're going to be shut down again. But I think that if you, Mr. Sanders, went on your Facebook page and you did a live video and you talk about that stuff, I went on my Facebook page and I did a live. If Cato has a Facebook page, do something. You got to get more people involved. That way, your people who are signed up, who are on your Facebook page, they say, "Oh, Miss Mel is going to be talking about something. Let's listen to what he's talking about. Paul's going to be talking about something." They're going to listen to what I'm saying. So it's going out. It's just not just one person, because I don't have all of your contacts. You don't have all of my contacts. And I think that that's how we need to do it. And I think that's how we're going to reach people, because to say we're going to hold the town hall meeting, who's going to show up?
Okay, but there's two things that have to happen prior to that, I believe. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Kiddo?
I think you have to expand that because and follow and I said it earlier, but follow the model that's already working, not just on somebody's Facebook page. You touched on two things. One is you can go down to the election department and you can get a list of what all the voters say in your district, and along with those, most of the time it's going to be a phone number. So not only do you have, say, their address, name and address, you have their phone number. So you can send out a text as what's being done now. Is texts are quicker and cheaper, although you once again you have to have the savvy to word it right so that the people it holds their attention real quick. It's not a 3,000 word text, and I don't care what it is. If it's about a town hall meeting, you now have told easily 150, 200 people, and yeah, if you get 10 out of that, well, that was 10 that you weren't going to get before out of your contacts because you don't personally know these people. So that's another way to reach people besides, say, the show now or your Facebook and so on. You're just trying to get more numbers that you normally wouldn't have.
And I say,
I will tell you this, that I had people do phone banking for me when I was running for office, and a lot of those numbers, when they would call, they would disconnect, or they were disconnected because they were using those numbers that they had on there. Mainly, their numbers were landlines.
mm-hmm.
A lot of people are not using landlines anymore, but they didn't change that though.
Plus, there's another reason why you won't find a lot of numbers on voter registrations anymore, is because people have wised up to know that if you owe money and your number's on your registration, that's public information. So someone can come down and just simply, oh, you're not answering your phone. Oh, I got the wrong number. Oh, let me try this one. So, those kind of things. But the primary thing that we have to do, along with what you're talking about, see, what you were saying about Facebook and reaching people like that, we can link to here. We're collected here, and we can link to our Facebook pages to make sure that message goes out when it needs to. But we have to be up to date on being informed about how to best educate our people on how to do what they need to do. And that's a lot of work, because there are people strategically located in our community who don't know, i.e. ministers. They should know a lot of things about how to deal with everyday people's lives. And days gone by, that was the case, because when you had a problem, you'd go to your pastor, and he would be the one to talk to that politician or talk to that law enforcement agency, or what you needed at the school district. They were there for that kind of support. They've gotten away from that over the past 30, 35 years. Those things need to be renewed and brought up to speed, because those things still work. When you have someone that's going to be an advocate for you, and people on both sides know that that's an advocate, it's important. Same thing with our civic organizations. We have to have leadership in those organizations that are responsive to the needs of the people and know what their jobs are, what they can do. And for the last several years, we have not had that.
I think that what's always bothered me is, say, going back 30 years, me and you both know a lot of the movers and shakers, that concern West Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
You more than me. So the problem was these people knew what was going on. They had the influence to speak on it and to make a change to the people who had clout, or people who could make a difference. I found that most of the time, those same people that were in the district or the movers and shakers in the district didn't speak up. You had one or maybe two that might have said something, but out of if you easily 15 that could just drop a name and said this needs to happen, it would have happened. But because they were I don't know if they were scared to keep their job or their status with the other side of town, that was what kept them from really doing what was right and speaking out. Because a lot of stuff could have changed in West Fresno if you had more people, not just the everyday average person. I'm talking about people that met with the city leaders and stuff, and they called them when they wanted something out of West Fresno. That's where they should have spoke up. But no, a lot of stuff was was not said because of either money in the pocket or a position down the road. I've known of that too. You know, and that hasn't changed. We ain't talking about 30 years ago. I'm talking about stuff that just happened. Well, yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah, very few.
So that's what's held West Fresno back, and I think that's what's going to continue to hold West Fresno back. And West Fresno has changed. It's not just I'll say all black now, but we're talking about minorities in general. And yeah, we speak on black people. That's our people. So we're trying to do what we can for them. But but we get mistreated so bad that makes it hard, because the norm is business as usual when it comes to black folks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, we've had a lively discussion here for the past hour, and we were able to make sure that Cato didn't get to his subjects because he had a list over
We got 2 minutes, so this is what I want to talk about.
But we hope that you've enjoyed it, you've learned something, and we're going to follow up on this. Maybe we can get to your stuff next time we're here.
Oh, it's too late now. Too late.
So anyway, thank you folks for listening
Thank you,
and
Miss
joining
Paula.
in. And thank you, Miss
You're
Paula.
welcome.
Thank you, Cato.
I'll see you guys on Friday.
Oh, yes,
both
yes,
of
yes,
you.
yes. You want to remind us what is that now?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
the
out of the
Hanford Chamber
country.
of Commerce I was nominated to be Woman of the Year in Kings County, not Kings County, but Hanford Chamber of Commerce. And so I was nominated, and they appointed me, or allowed me to be
Selected you,
that.
yeah.
I nominated you, just to let you know. So do
Oh,
I get
no, you didn't.
do I get a free ticket?
So get your ticket, and it's going to be a dinner. It's going to be catered by Fugazi, which is an Italian restaurant, really nice Italian restaurant here in town. And just come out. It's an outdoor event, so
Well,
you wear your mask if you want to, or I suggest you do, and just come out and be there. Let me know. That's what I need, some black people there.
okay.
Okay, I need
Okay,
y'all
well, we
there to
look
say,
to-
"Yo, Paula,
Yeah.
we got you."
Paula,
Cato,
Paula.
I need you there to say, "I got you."
Paula, I got you. I got you. Can you see my fingers? I got you.
I can't see no
You
fingers.
can't? Okay.
I just-
Money. Forget the fingers. Money.
Anyway, thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed what we brought today. We look forward to talking to you again. So we'll see you on our next show. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.